What does freedom mean to you? Does it mean the freedom to choose? The freedom to have a family and raise your kids according to your own values? What about living a wild, adventurous life, experimenting with music, relationships, or art? What does freedom really mean? What if freedom meant something that only a few Americans still understood? What if it meant that your choices and your values were set by you, rather than by some politician in a far-off capital? Some people think we're only free to choose to live exactly how they live, by their moral code, or their narrow worldviews. But if liberty means anything, it means that you, and you alone, have the power to exercise your rights to which the laws of nature and nature's God granted you. It's time to put these principles back into action. It's time to restore the American dream, activate in our communities, and take our country back. It's time to wake up, America. Good morning, Rise and Freedom. Happy Friday. We made it. It's 7:02 and you're watching and listening to the Wake Up America Show with Austin Peterson at wakeupAmericaShow.com. We've got a guest in the house, in studio, Camelia Peterson this morning. Say hi to CJ, everybody. Give her a like and a subscribe.
Good morning.
If you're happy to see CJ, she's going to talk to us this morning at the top of the show about a garbage human being who called out her father at his own funeral for being a white cis male Trump supporter. I've got the clip. We'll play it and we will destroy her completely and totally. And then throw her out with the rest of the trash. At 7:22 this morning, Senator Rand Paul called out the FBI and the Senate for collusion with social media. We've got that clip as well. And it looks like there's an exodus at Twitter. Boy, a lot of drama last night on Twitter. Twitter is over, but you know what? A lot of employees apparently did quit over the new policy. We'll talk about that at 7:22. At 7:30 this morning, I got a real treat for you. Real treat. Larry Sharpe is going to join us this morning, and I want to talk to him about this whole push for a 4-day work week. He is a career coach after all. We'll talk to him about that as well as electoral politics because it's fun. And then at 8 a.m. this morning, my buddy Ashley Bennington. Ash Bennington. We call him Ash, but his real name is Ashley. Yes, he knows that you want to make fun of him for that, and that's perfectly fine. And then at 8:22 this morning, Ben Shapiro is going to No, Ben Shapiro's not joining us, but wouldn't it be interesting if he was? We're going to talk about his weirdo rant against the homosexuals got Brad Palumbo to call him out. We'll talk about that at 8:22 this morning. It'll be fun. And then spelling test at 8:30 this morning. We're going to give Camelia a spelling test. The most commonly misspelled words in the English language. Are you ready for it, CJ?
I don't know. It's been a long time since the spelling bee.
Yeah, no kidding. Welcome to the Wake Up America show with Austin Peterson. We're glad to have you here. CJ, thank you so much for coming in studio today.
That's fun. My pleasure.
It's a real treat. We're so happy to have you here. So thank you so much for joining us. If you want to send a text this morning to the show, feel free to do so. 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586 for the text line if you'd like to communicate with us this morning. Sometimes the live chat scrolls by a little too fast. So if you want to get your comment possibly read on the program, again, just text us 573-319-1586. All right, let's head over to the Twitter weirdness so that we can see a little bit of weirdness on YouTube. This was a girl who describes herself as a black supremacist, which I think is interesting because I think she's half black. Who called out her dad at his own funeral. Take a listen to this.
What you are is a racist, misogynistic, xenophobic, Trump-loving, cis-straight white man.
Ooh. Yeah, at his funeral. This continues on. Take a listen to this.
Please know that while I am grateful and highly aware of all that you give in this family, I still don't miss you. When you died, I felt like there was a hole. I missed something, but it wasn't you. It was the idea of what you could become. I missed being able to hope and wish that one day you turn a corner and see the world from my perspective. I missed the idea that one day you might help me fight for the things that matter. I missed my fantasy of you. Because when you died, it solidified the fact that you'll never be what you could have been, but only what you are.
Wow.
And what you are is a racist, misogynistic, xenophobic, Trump-loving, cis-straight white man. That is all you will ever be to me. And Dad, before you tell me to respect the dead, please remember that you disrespected and disregarded the lives and deaths of entire communities of people with your ideology. You told me to never back down, so I won't. You know for a fact that even against you, I'm not afraid to share my peace. You are everything I aspire not to be, and I refuse to stand up here and sing the praises of a man who is the paradigm of white supremacy. So I'll take your racist mindset, I'll take your money, and I'll take your advice. And I swear to God I will make this world a better place. Not at all because of you, but in exact opposition to you. Thank you.
Let's go ahead and, let's... Who's clapping? Who's applauding that? These garbage... Yes, so, apparently, she's on TikTok, so she's out there all the time trashing her dad on TikTok. She describes herself as a black supremacist. Let me give you one of these. Big boo on that one. Camelia, your take.
That's sad. And if she, if her dad is white,
She's half white.
yeah, there's a little self-hate going on there.
Yeah.
I mean, she's going to regret that someday. I hope she regrets that someday.
She's probably regretting it right now because not only, that's getting a lot of attention, that video, right? He's a racist, misogynist, cis white male Trump supporter. I mean, like she's got hit all the points on the bingo card right
Well, did she post it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, she
posted
knows.
the video speech to their TikTok. So she uses they, them pronouns, of course, right? There's your first sign of mental illness. The speech, she says she called him a racist, misogynistic, xenophobic, and Trump-loving cis straight white man. His biggest crime being white. She characterizes. How do we call somebody they themself? Like, you want me to call somebody they themself? I mean, fuck you. I'm not calling you they themselves. Fuck you right in the eye.
It always just kills me about the whole pronoun drama is that you don't ever use them unless you're talking about someone. If you're liking to someone, you use they, them.
The wrong person died. Anyways, but I mean, like, this is how you can see that this leftism is it's amazing that an ideology is also a mental illness, right? As TikTok and social media, we've discussed this as, mental illness has spread as kind of like a hobby and like a career. It's actually a career for a lot of people. Right. And with these young girls, especially, it's because you do see young men in this, but this is mostly a problem amongst young females, isn't it, Camellia?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that is the majority of what you see. And it's interesting for all of these things, she is becoming all of these things that she says she hates about him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people do.
She's becoming a racist.
Yes.
Yeah. And and a xenophobe, all this stuff. It's absolutely shocking to me, though, that she says on one hand, "I'm grateful for everything that you've done for us, and I will take
But
I'll take your
I'll
money."
take your money. Yeah, I heard that.
Isn't that just like a woman?
Maybe some.
I'm misogynistic. That's what my kids are going to say at my funeral. But I mean, when I saw this, I was just absolutely shocked because I guess things like this have probably happened, right? There are probably people out there who wish that they had the guts to say what they felt, and there are probably parents who absolutely are garbage and maybe
Yeah.
even deserve it. But with the fact that she posts all these videos apparently on TikTok about her being anti-capitalist and being a black supremacist, I get the impression that she's actually the garbage person in this scenario.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. If you're posting for clicks at your dad's funeral, then yeah, there's something wrong there.
Yeah, Austin's getting spicy, says Sarah Palacios this morning. Bert Crosh says this woman deserves the wood chipper. Chris Morrow loves him some F-bombs.
It's like in the first 10 minutes.
Matt Unruly, was that Austin's first F-bomb in the show? Not in the general, but from him directly. I think there was one other F-bomb, but that was it. So, yeah, but they are very rare. And that's it. It's effing plural, says Elizabeth Fanny Press. I have no idea what she's talking about. I have no clue what she's talking about there. So, obviously she's getting a lot of attention for this, and a lot of it's negative attention. But I mean, I almost feel like, there's an incentive now to misbehave, right? When you get
Sure.
like, there are probably people out there who are rewarding her for this, who probably agree with her. It's amazing. It's what it almost reminded me of is like social media in real life. You know how like people don't really talk in the real world like they do on Twitter? We like imagine what it would be like if in the real world people talk to themselves, talk to each other the way that they talk on social media. What would that be like?
That would be that would be pretty wild. Although, I think we are normalizing and I think a little more, but outrage, I mean, outrage currency itself.
Well, yes. But imagine this. So if you're a boomer, because they type in all caps, they would have to be screaming all the time.
All the time.
Once you get over a certain age, you'd have to be screaming all of the time when you're a boomer. And then when you're a young person, you have to introduce people. You have to wear your pronouns on your sleeve so that everybody knows what your pronouns are.
To be fair, they probably already do that, but
yeah, for sure. They probably have buttons and things like that. What do you think about this? Send us a text, 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. We're talking about a teen girl who got up at her father's funeral and called him out for being a racist, sexist, misogynistic, Trump-loving, cis white male. The worst part of that, though, is being white, I guess. Why do they hate white people so much, Camellia? What is it?
I don't know. Yeah, there's probably a whole lot going on there that, we don't know about, but boy, I feel sorry for her mom.
Yeah.
And that's terrible.
Yeah, you can hear the people in the crowd making like
And
the
the
shock noises and
applause?
stuff. Yeah, there was well,
What?
probably friends of hers, right, that showed up that agree with her on all that stuff, the people who have brainwashed her and all this stuff. Right? Some people have commented their support for the daughter. Other people think that, she's going to regret this down the road. What do you think about this? Send us a text, 573-319-1586. One listener says, something tells me when she looks back, she's going to feel pretty shitty bashing her dad like that at his funeral. One person pointed out, no matter what bad the man may have done in his life, funerals were for people to celebrate the good. How much a piece of trash do you think you have to be in order to like deserve people calling you out at your funeral, Camellia? Like, what's the line there? I mean, if it's Adolf Hitler, you spit on his grave, right? But in the ditch where they set him on fire with petrol. But I mean,
I don't know.
What's the line? How terrible a person do you have to be before it actually merits? That would be a good question for the audience. What do you think? think about that, Camellia, while we pose that to the audience. How terrible a person do you have to be? I mean, there is some line, right? Or maybe just don't have a funeral if you're that
Well, that's what I
terrible.
was gonna say. I would think the better thing to do would be just to, like they never existed, just don't remember them.
Yeah, one person pointed out no matter what bad they may have done in his life, funerals where people celebrate the good. He has a family. They were sitting in the crowd watching. Although he was bad, that's a funeral, a place to celebrate the good parts of his life, and his family wants to do that in peace. Something tells me that he was probably not that bad. He was probably like the people that we're familiar with on a daily basis, which, while annoying, they don't merit being called out at their funerals for, their whiteness.
Maybe. I mean, it's hard to say. I have met people who,
Are garbage.
are garbage in their, and they love Trump to their dying day. And, so I mean, they do exist.
Well, people hate us libertarians, don't they? Because we're like, you're both shit. They want us to pick a side, and it's like one garbage human being on one side, one garbage human being on the other, and it's like you must
Stuck
choose.
in the middle.
Yeah. It's like that guy last night on I can't remember, Ian something. This is the Asian guy on
Oh, Ian Miles Chong.
Ian Miles Chong or something like that. And he was just like, he's like, libertarians are the reason that progressives have won, if you think about it and stuff. And it's like, it seems like what conservatives are advocating for today is like, we have to take away people's rights before the left does it. You know what I mean? That's what it amounts to. It's like we need to stop them from taking our freedoms. So let's take away people's freedoms before they can get to it.
Well, the thing is he even said libertarianism. Well,
Yeah.
Where has he been? Because, conservative libertarian ideas, come from really the same spot.
Mm-hmm. Yep. One of our listeners is texting in and said, let's stop giving her publicity and move on to a more relevant subject. Did you see the press conference the Republicans had about the grifter in chief, and isn't Blaine on the banking committee? Don't worry. Coming up next, we're going to talk about Senator Rand Paul taking on the FBI. It was good stuff. Another listener texted in from the 417, said, start selling pronoun buttons on your store. Says Robbie. Oh, good morning, Robbie. Glad to have you here. Thanks for tuning in to the Wake Up America show. All right. When we get back, Wood Hippie just says, libertarians want some cheese with your wine. LOL. See, Wood Hippie's got a good nature about it. There you go. So it's what the problem has always been. It's freedom. That's the problem. We've just had too much freedom in this country for too long, and it's libertarianism to blame. If we didn't have freedom, things would be so much better.
I know.
Talk about that when we get back on the Wake Up America show at Wake Up America Show.
I can't shoot something, I like to cut things. My life isn't all about shooting and stabbing and cutting, though. Sometimes I have to do actual work, but when I work, I still like to have fun. And there's nothing less fun than trying to cut with a crappy knife. Thankfully, from the ancient sect of Christian knights, who also loved cutting and stabbing, comes a new implement that has received my personal blessing, the Templar knife. Like the ancient sword of Excalibur, you don't choose a Templar knife, it chooses you. You just decide what kind you want on the website first, however, and then order it online, and then it chooses you. The Templar knife comes in a variety of shapes. As a man of culture and taste, I have decided I will never use a terrible knife again. And thanks to the inspiration provided by this excellent product, I have decided to launch a new crusade against anyone using less than superior knives. Join me, brothers and sisters, by visiting uppercuttactical.com/pages/Templar-knives. That's a lot of slashes. For that, you'll need a Templar knife. For 10% off, use code AP for Liberty and join me in a quest for glory, for liberty, for Christendom, for the Templar knife. Get yours today. Fire. Your printing company stinks. They charge you too much money and they don't love America enough. We've got the solution. Patriot Printing USA. Whether you're running for office, saving souls, or just need business cards that will get you the new job you've been looking for, Patriot Printing USA has got you covered with the best prices around. Palm cards, brochures, bumper stickers, door hangers, you name it, we've got it. PatriotPrintingUSA.com. That's PatriotPrintingUSA.com.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
Average Americans are turning into conspiracy theorists at an unprecedented rate. Flip City Magazine was created for new converts to aid in their in-depth research along the path of absolute truth. We offer the hardest-hitting news and opinion delivered uncensored in print directly to your door. Display proudly on your coffee table or hide discreetly under your mattress. Flip City is the magazine they don't want you to see, much less read. Subscribe to Flip City Magazine today at flipcitymag.com.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.
Good morning at 7:21. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. We're still joined this morning in studio by the lovely Camelia Peterson. We're not related, though.
Nope.
How you doing, CJ?
Good.
Good. Glad to have you here. See, people are like, they bitch about this topic and stuff, but they're all talking about it. They're like, you know what?
Rage drama.
Yeah. I think you said the most interesting thing during the break about how you're like, before you had kids, what?
Well, I mean, so we talk about, how he must not have been a good parent, didn't raise her right. And I'm like, you know what? There are no guarantees in parenting. And I can remember before I had kids, I was all kinds of opinionated about having kids, and I was all kinds of wrong.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I would have come back from the grave and slapped my daughter, if that
Sure
was
you
me
would.
and that was my dad. All right. Well, Senator Rand Paul came out against the FBI hard. He came out swinging yesterday. I've got an interesting little video to show of him coming after the FBI director over their collusion with social media.
To the idea of whether or not you're getting information for them outside the warrant process, because the next question is, which you probably won't answer either, is are you taking information that you're getting not through the warrant process and then going around and coming back and using that as
information
a predicate
from
for getting a
like
warrant to
Facebook.
actually get the information you've already been given?
His facial
I'm not sure I'm
expression.
completely following the.
Basically, you get information that Facebook's volunteering. This has all been written up in the Post article. You're familiar with the Post article with the accusations. And the question is, are you getting information they're giving to you? They say, oh, somebody says January 6th was great. Here's information on this guy. Then you're taking it and then using it as a predicate to say, well, now let's go to the court and get a real warrant and get the information we already actually got without a warrant.
So we get tips and leads from all over the place, from members of the public, from businesses, from community leaders, from other and government partners all the time. And we use the tips and leads that we get to often form predicates for law.
Are you getting tips and leads from Facebook and social media companies?
We get tips and leads from companies, absolutely.
Right. It includes private information.
But I'm not aware of us receiving any tips or leads.
See, here's the point: you may think it's just jolly well to get all this stuff without a warrant that people volunteer to you, but many of us are alarmed that you're getting this information that are private communications between people because it is against the law. It's against the law for Facebook or social media companies to give it to you, but it's also against the law for you to receive it.
Oh, baby. Boy, me lovey, me likey, me lovey, long time.
Why would we not elect Rand Paul to
Because people
president?
are friggin' stupid. People are so goddamn dumb in this country. It is a nation of sheep. People are fucking stupid. Imagine, what was that George Carlin comment where he says, imagine half the people, how stupid half the people in this country are, and then imagine half of them are even stupider than that. People are so goddamn dumb. That's why. Because they're not going to sit down and read and figure out what the F people believe. They're not going to sit down and try and figure out, oh, well, what does this guy believe versus that? They're like, look, that guy said something mean. It was really funny. Politics is just the playground. Real life adulthood is just the high school out in the real world. That's all it is. Gossip, mean girls, just that's all it is. They just wanted somebody who would make them laugh. Donald Trump made them laugh, and so they felt like, oh well, he's funny. It's the politics of the candidate you want to have a beer with. And let's be honest, Rand was kind of cranky and not very nice when he was running for president. You have to be likable. You've got to do So there were some problems on Rand's side of things, but I mean, people are just so goddamn dumb.
Well, on the St. Louis show the other day, you said, maybe yesterday or yet, anyway, you said that if Donald Trump made Rand Paul his vice president.
Oh, we'd vote for him. We'd vote for him.
Yeah.
I'd join the dummies.
I would do it.
I would too. If you want to get the libertarians on board, you put Rand Paul as vice president. I would also accept Mike Lee as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little more tepid on Mike Lee. I like him, but I do. I just not as much as Rand Paul.
Yeah, good morning to our listeners there this morning. They're probably like, wow, there's a lot of language this morning. Stickpole over on Twitch this morning just joined us for the very first time. Stickpole, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. Thanks for commenting and joining us on the Wake Up America show. For our listeners who want to send in a text message, you can. It's a lot easier for me to read your messages that way. You can send us a text at 573-319-1586. Can we talk about what the hell is going on with Twitter? With the exodus last night? What is this? I guess so. Here's like the way my buddy Joe Henchman described this yesterday on Facebook. Let me read this to you. So Twitter update. So it sounds like all but a few hundred employees declined to click yes on Elon's email to commit to Musk's vision by 5 p.m. yesterday. So like thousands more people basically opted to get the 3-month severance package, right? So if they aren't ready to work like 24/7 on Twitter and like bust their asses, then Elon was like, okay, you need to leave. So here's what happened. So only like apparently a few hundred people actually said that they would stay. Seems like a strategic blunder on Musk's part. He's not perfect, even though I know you're horny for him. Musk and his managers started panicking, promising to ease up on the remote work ban and calling in hundreds of people to plead for them to stay. But as 5 p.m. neared, apparently they feared sabotage by departing people. They turned off badge access and announced Twitter's offices will remain closed until Monday. Yo. So that's why somebody, and I retweeted him, somebody posted the RIP Twitter and then the video from the Titanic where they're playing Nearer My God to Thee. Yeah, it's very funny. Very funny. So I feel like Twitter will survive.
Yeah, I think so. Twitter was a little annoying last night.
It was so annoying.
It's like everybody's leaving their last will and testament on Twitter. I'm like, stop it. Shut up.
I love it. Though. The hyperbole is fun though, because it makes, that's why we walk social media. Oh, wait. Looks like Larry Sharp is texting in saying, ready when you are. We should probably go to break and then bring in Larry Sharp. We're going to talk to him about a 4-day work week. See what he thinks about that. I think I'm down for it. They're going to have a no day work week at Twitter. We'll be back with more on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
American conservatism is distinct, like America is distinct from the United Kingdom. American conservatism's roots comes out of the Wild West, out of pioneerism. The difference between American conservatives and European conservatives is that Americans are cowboys. We are that God, guns, gold, and girls. It's wild here. And we should stay that way. We shouldn't allow a European version of conservatism to come and infect us here. We like it wide open spaces here, deep in the heart of Texas and all that.
Austin's wife. I want to thank you all for watching the Wake Up America show with Austin Peterson. This show has been a huge venture for our family, so we would love it if you could join us.
I believe in liberty, and I believe in Austin's ability to spread the ideas of liberty. Do you?
I want to ask you today to join Peterson's Patriots with a pledge of $17.76 a month. Help us to stay cancel-proof so we can spread the message of limited government across the country. I joined Peterson's Patriots myself, just in a little different way. Visit wakeupAmericaShow.com/support and make your pledge today.
Average Americans are turning into conspiracy theorists at an unprecedented rate. Flip City Magazine was created for new converts to aid in their in-depth research along the path of absolute truth. We offer the hardest-hitting news and opinion delivered uncensored in print directly to your door. Display proudly on your coffee table or hide discreetly under your mattress. Flip City is the magazine they don't want you to see, much less read. Subscribe to Flip City Magazine today at flipcitymag.com.
Speaker Pelosi's husband, Paul, made a big investment in chips just before Congress votes on a bill that would give $52 billion in subsidies and tax credits to the chip industry.
Over the course of your career, has your husband ever made a stock purchase or sale based on information he received from you?
No.
And I believe if you come to our border, you will be turned back. Do not come. Do not come.
Have you ever received a royalty payment from a company that you later oversaw money going to that company?
I don't know as a fact, but I doubt it.
Well, here's the thing is, why don't you let us know?
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. We're still joined in studio by the lovely Camelia Peterson. Hi, CJ.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for sticking around with us this morning. All right, a special guest that everybody's excited about will be joining us here in just a moment, but let me set it up real quick. We've got about 40% of companies have moved to a 4-day work week. Lots of people want to work 4 days a week. I'd love to have a 3-day weekend. Let's talk to a man who knows a lot more than most people do about it. He's a career coach. His name is Larry Sharpe, and of course, he's a very famous libertarian joining us right now. Good morning, Larry. How are you doing today, sir?
Hey, good morning, brother. So happy to be here. How you been?
I've been great. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Larry. So I guess just give us your thoughts, big picture. What do you think about companies moving to a 4-day work week? Good thing, bad thing?
Yeah. This is a legacy from the lockdowns. Without question, it is. This is what people don't realize. When the very wealthy who decided, wait a minute, I can go make money and still live at my second home, they started saying, let me change how things think, right? The wealthy people, particularly in large cities, always have at least 2 homes. They have one in that city and then one someplace else. The one someplace else is always a nicer home. So they went there during the lockdowns and they said, wait a minute, I can make money doing this. But so did the PMC, right? The PMC is a professional management class for those who aren't aware of that. The PMC is the second tier right underneath the wealthy. They found out that since they live in the suburbs, they could make money from the suburbs. And they're like, well, wait a minute, I like this idea too. And then the people who are working, the more working class people, they're the ones who had to adapt their lifestyle. They're the ones who said, you know what, I'm at home with my parents, or I'm going to have more roommates, or I'm going to do whatever it takes, because now that I've basically been laid off for a year or two or pushed aside, I found other ways to do things I like. I want to be able to listen to Austin Peterson's podcast every morning and not be bothered by my boss, right? I want to be able to play video games for an hour in the middle of the day. I want to be able to do those things that I enjoy that I can't do if I've got to spend 20 minutes in the metro every morning and then sit in front of my boss.
Let's be honest, the metro sucks, Larry. And I mean, not to speak up, not to go all in on the workers of the world unite here or anything, but I got to say, like, the commute in the mornings out there on the East Coast is hell, Larry.
Absolutely. Yes. So now all this happened. So now the problem, though, is while a boss might go, great, why doesn't everybody stay home? If everybody stays home, that destroys your company culture. That destroys your idea generation. That breaks everything down in your actual company. So you've got to find a way to get people back into the office. So they do things like give you a 4-day work week. So you'll be here for 4 days and you'll work for 3. But in reality, you'll have to come to the office 2 of those 4 days. So you're in the office for 2 days, you're working from home 2 days, and you're off for 3. The idea is you still get work. You're able to keep company culture and still get idea generation. And that's why they do things like get baristas there, or have or instead of baristas, maybe they will have childcare there. Because the second piece is the PMC female class has done a good job. They actually have had a baby boom. So now if you're a professional management class and you're a woman, you had a baby when you were home. Why? Because you were home. Well, now you don't want to leave that baby. So they've got to provide childcare and things like that. This is all because of a legacy of the lockdowns.
Now, if you're just tuning in, we're speaking to Larry Sharpe. He is a corporate career consultant and a pretty famous libertarian. We're talking to him about the 4-day work week. So maybe it's bad for companies, but Larry, I mean, at some point, I'm not suggesting that we should become like Europe, but at some point, there's got to be a little bit of give and take. When it comes to the workplace culture, when you describe workplace culture, what I'm thinking about are all these pointless meetings where employers have a waste to, and all of these pointless middle managers whose only job has been to sit over people's shoulders and just make sure that they're remaining productive, and they don't want to sit down and come up with new metrics to be able to determine how effective their employees are being. So I mean, and to be quite frank, remote work has shown that there's a lot of redundancy when it comes to middle management. A lot of these companies probably realize that they don't need to have that many employees, but I mean, you need the employees. You may not need the middle managers, even though they are employees as well. But I think if anything, it's kind of laid bare, like, what's worthwhile, what kind of work is worthwhile, and what's not. And I mean, honestly, I kind of hate the whole workplace culture ideal, Larry. I don't think that it really contributes overall. I think because usually it's some kind of smarmy, like, birthday party or something like that, where people who don't like each other and don't want to spend time together are forced to do so anyway. So I mean, you've been there, right? I don't know if you've ever worked at a Walmart.
100%.
I've worked at a Walmart, and they waste your time in these stupid meetings, and they make you sing and dance and clap, and it's just it's retarded.
But there's a problem here, right? What you're saying is true, but then you use the wrong company. And what I mean by that is, if you are working class, your life doesn't change much. That's the sad part, right? If you're working class, you're going to still have to wind up going to show up and do the birthday party thing. But your first part is 100% in the money, right? That's one of the reasons why there are so many layoffs. It isn't the only reason, but it is one of them. It is the idea that, I'm finding out that I don't need all these people. And here's the problem. We are still, particularly in our government, we're in the industrial mindset. We should be in a post-industrial mindset, right? The post-industrial mindset is what you're talking about. We still worry about people getting paid by the hour, right? This is not valuable in this type of situation. I have to find other ways of measuring how my employees are productive, whether it is the amount of things they put out or, customer service, whatever is the issue. And this is challenging. A lot of companies don't know how to do that. And worse, larger organizations like government or union shops don't know how to handle it either. They are forced into this per hour mindset, and it does not work. And now you add things like the Family Leave Act. You have a bigger problem, right? If I'm a union worker and I've now decided to have this contract where I've agreed to get paid more because I'm going to work on a weekend, or I'm going to work during the holidays or something like that. Now I've had my union negotiate this, so I'm getting paid double, triple. When the government steps in and says, well, now we're going to have a Family Medical Leave Act. Well, wait, does that count with my union? Does that not count with my union? How does that work? Well, wait a minute, I want a 4-day weekend. Okay, well, does that count with my union? Does that not count? What about a Family Medical Leave Act? We have not figured this out at all. And we're doing it the hard way right now. And sadly, the people who are paying are not the wealthy. The people who are paying are the middle class.
That's fascinating there. You can send us a text this morning on the Wake Up America show to 573-319-1586. If you have a question for Larry, again, send us in a text, 573-319-1586. Little D Trucking over on the live chat says that I'm going to start the truck 4-day work week. Wow, nobody's going to have anything. Okay, so not
that's
everybody.
That's my point, right?
Yeah.
If you're working at Walmart, or if you're working class, if you're blue collar, right? Or I'll even go pink collar, right? Pink collar meaning you're more of what they call the HEAL, right? Healthcare, education, admin, and or learning, right? You're in that world, right? That is, you don't get a 4-day work week, right? You got to go to work. If you're a trucker, he's right. You got to truck the stuff out. This is heavily for people who are in the PMC or wealthy, or people who aren't working every day in that regard.
Okay, but here's the thing. Elon Musk is in big trouble today, right? He sent out this employee, he's going JD Rockefeller on everybody. He's get back into the mines, little children, you're going to work 24/7. And yes, our Silicon Valley, fat, lazy, overpaid, underworked to a large extent. Sure, absolutely, right? But let's just say that, that it wasn't Twitter if it was somebody else, right? A lot of corporate workplaces, their culture is a little bit toxic. So let's just say, Elon Musk, has pushed his company perhaps a little bit too far, because strategically it's a blunder to have your employees, running for the hills when you're running this massive company like what Elon Musk is doing, and he says no more remote work. I mean, yesterday he had, after 5 p.m., he had to send out a memo, calling people back, actually calling people saying, please don't leave. I mean, employers need to be ready to accommodate workers who are used to being able to have this kind of work-life balance that gives them the flexibility to actually have children. I mean, we do need to be having children, right?
Yes, but there's the other piece, right? It isn't just flexibility. You want to have an environment to where people want to come to work. That's the thing that they're not getting. And guys like Elon Musk aren't accustomed to that, because when you're Elon and you're the only game in town, and Elon has gone out of his way to be that, right? Oh, I want to go to Mars. I kind of got to work for Elon. Oh, I want to have hybrid cars. Well, I kind of got to work for Elon. As that goes away, people aren't rushing to work for him anymore. Like, there's a whole bunch of social media companies, right? Twitter isn't the only one out there. If I want to be in that world, I don't have to work for Elon. When you're a monopoly, you can be a jerk. But when you're not a monopoly, all of a sudden, not so easy anymore. So Elon now has to change his mindset. He can't just do the cool thing. You can get people to work 80 hours a week. Absolutely. But as libertarian, it's got to be voluntary. You got to want to do it. People will work 80 hours a week if they love what they're doing, if they want to do it, and you got to pay them well. You don't pay them hourly. You give them a nice fat salary or some type of, in best case, some kind of equity in the company or something like that. And they will happily do 80 hours a week, but you can't just demand it. They walk away, and Elon's found that out the hard way.
We're speaking to Larry Sharpe. He is a professional career consultant. He does a lot of good work on talking about these kinds of employee and workplace issues. You're listening and watching to the Wake Up America show with Austin Peterson. Send us a text, 573-319-1586. Larry, if you have to vote for president and it's between Dave Smith and Spike, who are you voting for? Spike Cohen. Spike Cohen or Dave Smith?
I have to for only those two. I'm going to convince. I know them both. I'm going to convince them to jump on the same ticket. Is what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do.
Okay, but if they're running against each other,
I'm going to make them work together. I know them both. I'm going to be on the phone.
But they're not running together. They're running separately. Spike's got Tasha as his vice presidential candidate, and Dave has.
Oh no! Now, if Tasha's involved, then Spike. I mean, Tasha's the best. Done. That's it. If Tasha's involved, it's Spike. I got Tasha's. Everyone loves Tasha. They actually call Spike Tasha's husband. So yes, if that's the case, Tasha wins hands down. Yes.
How do you feel about the state of the liberty movement right now, Larry?
We got a butt whipping this year. We have not done very well this year at all. But I feel like there were a lot of issues that we had, and you and I discussed this a while ago. I think the Republican Party got beat up this year also. I think that a lot of the things that people thought were good, as I'd mentioned before, were not so good, right? You and I discussed the idea of, we're having a lot of wins. I was like, Republican Party's they're not having wins. These are not wins. They're not wins. And I knew they weren't wins, and I could tell. I was the one who was saying this was not going to be a red wave. I knew Lee Zeldin had no chance of winning New York State. I was talking all this stuff and people were not hearing me. I travel the state. I am still active on the ground. I talk to everybody. I knew what was going to happen. And this is not the right answer. It is in New York State. It is actually harder to get a gun and easier to get an abortion than it was last year. This has not been a win for the Conservative Party or conservative side in my state.
If you had to vote between Ron DeSantis or Donald Trump.
Wow. Wow. You guys are just trying to make me make these hard decisions. I think I may fall back to a Gary Johnsonism. When he was asked that question, he said, Hillary or Trump, gun to the head. He said, pull the trigger.
Hide your guns. It's Gary Johnson. Larry, is there anything else? Is there anything else that you think people should know before I let you go?
Yes, this is actually a good time for us. This is a good time for labor to rethink. It's a good time for employees to rethink. This is a transition period. Sadly, this was supposed to happen over the course of probably 10 or 15 years. Because of the lockdown, it was forced to happen now. So I know it's challenging for a lot of people, but this was supposed to happen anyway. Let's just push through it now so we can figure out what's a better place for everybody to be in when it comes to labor.
Larry Sharpe, he's the man. Larry, where can people follow you online?
You can easily go to LarrySharpe.com. That's where I was campaigning. Or if you want to, just check me out, Larry Sharpe, anywhere. Google Larry Sharpe. You'll see me someplace.
Larry Sharpe, Sharpe. Larry Sharpe, thank you very much for your time today, sir. We appreciate you.
Have a good one.
Keep fighting the good fight for freedom, sir. We appreciate you very much. What did you think of Larry Sharpe? Send us a text, 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. All right, a cop punched a black woman at an abortion rally. That was his opponent running for office, and he got acquitted because, well, your face, Camelia. You got to quit her because she's the judge says that it was in the name of public safety. Don't forget, we got Ashley Bennington joining us at 8 o'clock to talk about the FTX scandal and all the weird sex stuff that was going on over there. Did you hear about the stuff about the Chinese harem? No. Okay, we'll talk about that when we get back on the Wake Up America show at wakeupamerica.com. Yeah.
I enlisted as a medic to be there to help my patients, and after an injury, I found myself as a patient. I experienced post-traumatic seizures. Depression is a big one that comes along with it, PTSD. So I pursued my PhD in neuroscience and regenerative medicine. The coalition has helped fund my academic pursuits. They genuinely care about helping the vet in whatever way that they can. Through supporting the coalition, you're supporting some of the veterans that have the biggest needs.
Visit saluteheroes.org to learn more.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun. Thank you, Ben.
Enough yet? Do facts no longer matter? Are lies to be encouraged instead of punished? This is not our inheritance. If truth no longer matters, we will not remain free for long. This is our generation's challenge, to defend our founders' hope that we the people could self-govern if we defend our right to get the facts. And right now, we're building the only defense a free people have. The facts on every politician, every position they held, every statement they've made, every vote they've made, and any cash they've taken. It's the real history on those now pandering for your vote. There are hundreds of young people building our defense right now, and they need your help. We all have our passions, but as our ancestors knew, when events become so foul they threaten us all, we must stand and defend each other. Please, have our backs. Join us at votesmart.org.
What would happen if I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors? What would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? So you can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter, male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers, we have leaders in business.
Is me, you, anyone that wants to be.
There is no typical firefighter.
We wish you a freedom Christmas. We wish you a freedom Christmas. We wish you a freedom Christmas and a liberty New Year. Socialists and commies may try to convince you that the holiday's all about free stuff. But let's be honest, we all know whose wallet Santa's gifts are coming out of. There ain't no such thing as a free stocking. Santa is the only guy with a big white beard promising free stuff that we want anything to do with this holiday. And if you don't believe, you don't receive. It's a capitalist, consumerist holiday, and it's time for a Santa-sized stimulus. Get your free market merch at the AP for Liberty shop today and stuff your socialist sisters' stockings full of capitalist cheer. Ho, 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 ho! Good morning, Rise and Freedom at 7:53. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America Show with Austin Peterson at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Still lots of great content to come. My friend Ash Bennington's going to join us this morning at 8 o'clock. I'd love to introduce you to him. He and I go way, way back to the old days when I lived in New York City. He was a great friend of mine, and he's an excellent financial analyst. He used to write for CNBC, so he's a financial columnist who's been recently writing about crypto in the last decade, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about the FTX scandal, the Sam Bankman-Fried. I always want to call him Fried because it just looks like fried and his hair looks kind of fried. That little giggle right there is Camelia Peterson, who's sticking around with us in studio this morning. Hi, CJ.
Hey, happy Friday.
Hey, happy Friday to you too. You kind of like that interview with Larry Sharpe where he was talking about the, sort of the 4-day work week and how we've kind of essentially been putting this off, right? Making these decisions about how to order our economy. It's not uncommon for people to work 4-day work weeks. I mean, I guess Liz Fanning Press just messaged in and said that her daughter works 4-day work weeks, but she's bored. Tell you what, go work for yourself and you will.
Well, I was going to say, he talked about doing what you love. And I'm like, 4-day work week. What's a 5-day work week? I don't know what that is.
Yes. Yeah. When you're an entrepreneur, it's an everyday work week.
But you know what? I know it's so trite, but when they say, if you do what you love, you don't never work a day in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true for me. I mean, I don't even know how many hours I work, but it's because I love what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not counting the hours that he was talking about, that they're doing it wrong by measuring it in like hourly wages, or whatever.
You think so?
Counting the hours.
Yeah. Well, what's a better way to do it? I guess.
I mean, it depends on the job, I suppose. But, measuring productivity by the number of hours you put in is getting pretty outmoded in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think so too. The whole hourly wage thing, but it's hard though if you have somebody working on like a contracting kind of a perspective to figure out any other way to pay them.
Right.
I mean, salary is one thing. I don't know. I would love to see a future where basically everybody can work for themselves. Like everybody's an independent contractor to an extent. And you know what? The government doesn't like that. They tax us. We get taxed for working for ourselves. You realize?
Yeah.
It's funny too, because we're supposed to be, if you work from home, it reduces your carbon footprint, and they should give you like a tax incentive for that because you're not driving. You're not driving to work. You're not commuting. You would think that they would want that, but think about all the economies that wouldn't exist. That think about the economies that exist solely for the purpose of serving commuters.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's like everything else. I mean, we don't, lots of things that we lose jobs because of things that we don't need anymore. It's the natural cycle of things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You can text the show this morning at 573-319-1586. One of our listeners texted in from the 215. I think that's our Philly friend who lives in Florida. When we were talking earlier about how, conservatives say that libertarians are the reason why progressives have won. They said, I see where you're coming from when we say, oh yeah, libertarian, freedom is the problem, right? They said, I see where you're coming from. The issue is the left has gone so far that the conservatives are just the opposite pendulum swing, but both sides have gone nuts. Hard to sit in the middle, but that's where things will probably end up. Or the U.S. will just balkanize and we can have 3 areas, crazy left, diehard Trump land, and then the area for the rest of us just want to live. And then he says, well, Elon is a cyborg, so I have no idea what they're talking about there.
We're all living in a simulation anyway, right?
It's all a simulation. Yes, you can send us a text to 573-319-1586. It's 573-319-1586. Police officer acquitted of assault charge after punching a political opponent. I'm going to leave the camera on you while I read this story, CJ, so we can get your reactions. Make sure that you react into the camera. Gene Lugo was acquitted of a simple assault charge in a district court. The judge said that during an abortion rights rally at the State House, Lugo, who was a Republican candidate for state Senate, approached a disturbance out of concern for the public order. Houlihan, who is the judge, said that Lugo and Jennifer Rourke, who was his Democratic rival for the Senate seat, were pressed forward by the crowd when it surged, and a melee ensued. So he's the Republican candidate for state Senate. She's the Democratic candidate for state Senate. She's in a crowd. He moves towards the crowd in order to help. He wants to just tamp down, just want to help, wants to cool things down. So he approaches his opponent at the rally, and Then he says that he was attempting to go after an unidentified man in a green jacket who punched another man who was agitating protesters. But then the judge said that Rourke, his opponent, held him back from going, and the court accepted that Lugo was attempting to stop more violence. He has a duty to maintain public order, the judge says. He described the potential for further violence as, quote, imminent. So apparently the situation unfolded within a few seconds. So he moves towards the crowd. His Democratic opponent tries to hold him back, he claims, and he's trying to do crowd control. And so he punches her in the face. His attorney says, of course, he never should have been arrested in the first place. The court relied on footage showing that as Lugo jumped in the fray, Jennifer Rourke did appear to try to pull him back, and then Lugo turned around and punched her repeatedly.
Repeatedly.
He had, in order to do crowd control, he had to punch his Democratic opponent in the face repeatedly. Just doing a little crowd control.
Did he know she was the one that grabbed him?
I don't know. It's hard to tell. I mean, that's
convenient.
Just very convenient. Punch your Democratic opponent. All right, we'll be back with Ashley Bennington talking about the FTX scandal on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Hello, my name is Kelvin. Welcome to Frenchy Bush. This is my Didi's website, and I've decided to speak to you with my real voice for the first time ever to tell you about how cool Frenchy Bush is. But I've decided that this is the perfect opportunity to share with you. Frenchy Bush is a good website. You should follow us on socials. If you like Frenchies or any kind of bulldogs, me and my new brother George are going to try to make your life more fun.
Hello, I'm George. My neck isn't really thick yet, but it will be. We are so glad you're here. Please ignore my floating eyeball. It helps me spot predators who might be approaching from the sides.
Didi made Frenchy Bullshit to review things that he uses on me and my brother to tell you if it's good or bullshit. Take this collar, for example. Didi really likes it. Didi said it's really handy because us Frenchies got thick necks. Need something really tough. People think Frenchies are little, but if you look at us from below, you can see we are really pretty buff. Beefcake, yes. Look at my creamy thighs and chest. Yes, you like that?
Big brother, please focus.
Frenchy Bullshit. Please follow us for more great content and read the Frenchy Bullshit blog for more fun and cool stuff.
I'm a public defender.
I am a public defender.
I'm proud to be a public defender.
80% of Americans accused of a crime will get appointed a public defender.
Everybody from a speeding ticket to capital murder.
For every dollar we spend on public defenders, we spend $3 on prosecutors.
Public defenders have to do pretty much everything on their own.
Social workers, counselors.
Investigating is another piece of it.
The average public defender holds 300 cases annually.
You never feel like there's enough time.
Public defenders have health issues all the time.
A lot of people give up and say, I can't do this work anymore.
Gideon's Promise trains, mentors, and supports public defenders.
There are a lot of people who say that they would not still be public defenders, but for Gideon's Promise.
It's fueled me to continue on in this fight.
Gideon's Promise has changed the face of public defense.
People see us as troublemakers.
Good trouble only.
We don't make it easy. It should not be easy to take away someone's liberty.
Ever hear the one about the frog? Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out.
Here's my resume again.
But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. It's a lie. But as a metaphor for us and all that we go through as veterans,
any real-world experience,
it's a story that rings true. We make excuses for how we feel. We push everything down. We tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect, And some days, maybe it is. But you've never been interested in easy. Make no mistake, reaching out is hard. Do it anyway. You're not alone. You've got this. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
American conservatism is distinct, like America is distinct from the United Kingdom. American conservatism's roots comes out of the Wild West, out of pioneerism. The difference between American conservatives and European conservatives is that Americans are cowboys. We are that God, guns, gold, and girls. It's wild here, and we should stay that way. We shouldn't allow a European version of conservatism to come and infect us here. We like it wide open spaces here, deep in the heart of Texas and all that.
Wife. I want to thank you all for watching the Wake Up America show with Austin Peterson. This show has been a huge venture for our family, so we would love it if you could join us. I believe in liberty, and I believe in Austin's ability to spread the ideas of liberty. Do you? I want to ask you today to join Peterson's Patriots with a pledge of $17.76 a month. Help us to stay cancel-proof so we can spread the message of limited government across the country. I joined Peterson's Patriots myself, just in a little different way. Visit wakeupAmericaShow.com/support and make your pledge today.
Average Americans are turning into conspiracy theorists at an unprecedented rate. Flip City Magazine was created for new converts to aid in their in-depth research along the path of absolute truth. We offer the hardest-hitting news and opinion delivered uncensored in print directly to your door. Display proudly on your coffee table or hide discreetly under your mattress. Flip City is the magazine they don't want you to see, much less read. Subscribe to Flip City Magazine today at flipcitymag.com.
Speaker Pelosi's husband, Paul, made a big investment in chips just before Congress votes on a bill that would give $52 billion in subsidies and tax credits to the chip industry.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. It's 8:07. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. I'm Austin Peterson. You can send us a text to the program this morning at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. Joining me in studio here is the lovely Camelia Peterson. Hi, CJ.
Good morning.
Nice to have you here in studio today. Glad to have you here. If you like CJ and you want to see more of her, then support the show by subscribing to us over on YouTube at youtube.com/AP for Liberty. I can see that most of our supporters are over there this morning on YouTube. That really helps us out a lot. Guess what, CJ? We are like so close to YouTube monetization. And who knows, like because you have to reapply, they might just say no, right? Because you talk about like stuff that we don't like. But we are at 3,986 public watch hours right now. We need 4,000 public watch hours before I can reapply. Yes, and then I can make a whole $150 a week. Yeah, well, better than nothing. We're trying to grow the show, so if you want to help support us in other ways, of course, let me switch over here to our shop scene. You only got a couple, like, till tomorrow to take advantage of the Cantina Crew code that I've got over here. The AP for Liberty shop also has a new candle that Steffi made last night. You missed this. We've got a new candle. It smells like taxation, smells like theft candle. Yeah. So, and we just sold 2 of them. Yeah, we just sold 2 of them this morning. Taxation smells like theft candles. Smells like cinnamon, actually. But what would you could pick a candle that smelled like taxation? What would you pick it to be? What should it actually be? Not something that smells nice.
What was that celebrity that came out with that vajayjay?
Vagina candle? It would be stinky vagina? Oh my god! No, please, no. Yeah, no, that was Gwyneth Paltrow. Yeah. So 10% off for the shop until Saturday at midnight. Just head over to apforlibertyshop.com and use the 10% off code Cantina. And that's for the Cantina Crew. Come on, guys. I did that just for you. I know that you guys are big fans. There's a lot of awesome like shirts and 3D printed Buddhas and stuff like that. And you got to order them soon because they are going to be a struggle to get in time for Christmas if they want to be Christmas gifts soon, because I've heard all kinds of nightmares about shipping. Now, Camelia, you made a big order the other day, and I guess it's coming in today. Is that what it says?
Coming in today. I was hoping it was coming yesterday, but it's by day.
What did you order from the shop?
So I ordered some Constitution earrings.
Nice.
And I ordered my H.L. Mencken bag. Thank you.
Nice. Yes.
And the Thomas Jefferson coffee cup. Something like coffee is the drink of civilized people or something like that.
Yes. Taxation is the drink of like civilized. Yeah. Is like the drink for civilized people. Something like
coffee, that. Not taxation.
No, yeah, exactly. Not taxation. Taxation is not the price we pay for civilized society. We'd love to hear from you this morning. Again, send us a text at 573-319-1586. Our friend from Philly, lives in Florida, says, can you make a candle that smells like Auntie Maxine's wig?
What?
Auntie Maxine? Is that like Maxine Waters? Is that what he's talking about?
No.
The lady who is like, you go out there and you draw a crowd. That socialist black lady. I don't know. I have no idea what our friend is talking about.
It doesn't sound good, whatever it is.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it looks like I screwed up the timing for my interview with Ash Bennington, so he's not going to be on the show today. But possibly I'll be able to have him on my afternoon show today. Camelia, you're going to be on the Austin Peterson show today at 2 p.m., right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's going to join us. Have you listened to the new show yet? It's really simple, even if you don't live in the St. Louis area. My new radio talk program in the afternoons is easily accessible by downloading the iPhone or Android app. Real Talk 93.3 is the name of the app. It's the Real Talk Radio Network. Make sure that you head over there. You can do that on your phone right now. Download the app while you're listening to us on YouTube and listen to me at 2 p.m. But Camelia, you keep forgetting.
I remembered yesterday and the day before.
Yeah, you remembered at like 2:15. So what?
Sorry.
Yeah, so you got to set an alert on your phone. For God's sakes, guys, come on. I mean, here's the thing. Like, so I feel like, and I'm going to talk about me for a moment.
Oh, well.
I feel like I'm on the verge of greatness.
Oh my God, here we go.
Yes, I do. I feel like I'm on the verge of greatness. Like, have you ever heard that song from West Side Story where he's like, something's coming, I don't know what it is, but it is gonna be great. Around the corner, whistling down the river, come on, deliver to me. Oh, thank you. Yes. Will it be? Yes, it will. Maybe just by holding still. I just feel like I just feel like I'm on the verge of something big, right? That like this syndication is like one step forward, but that, and wouldn't it be great to have like somebody who's not a piece of shit be a national celebrity in politics that like talks about liberty, that can actually have a conversation with people who are outside of our, a view of things and stuff like that. And, and by extension, you get to ride my coattails.
Ride your coattails.
Come on now, CJ, you gotta come on. Let's be honest here. I'm puffing myself up here, but I mean, like, hasn't being on like
get my needle out.
Wait a minute. Let me ask you something. Hasn't being on the radio, and being on the morning show and all that kind of stuff, and then doing this and stuff, has this elevated your profile around Missouri at all?
Oh, for sure. And I will say, you know what, though? The best thing about it is that, like, oh, you just stop. But like, 3-4 years ago, I would have never done anything like this.
Mhm.
So this is, I mean, and over the last, 5 years or so, I've really tried to always say yes to things, even if they're outside of my zone, they make me uncomfortable. And you really pushed me into things that are normally uncomfortable for me, but it's been good. It stretched me.
Well, obviously I'm like, we're friends, right? And I know like we share a lot of the same viewpoints and things like that. But I saw a lot of like potential in you to be a really strong talent. And and this is just kind of like a clinical explanation of this, I would say. But I mean, I feel like you really do fit a sort of demographic, I won't say stereotype, but I would say like a certain demographic that that deserves to like a little bit more voice, right? Single moms, single moms who are not liberals, right? The conservative, like rural moms who are making their way downtown, right? Making their way in the world on their own, and are struggling to try and project their views, on the world, and to fight for their daughter's future. And you've got two beautiful like daughters that you love and you care for, and I feel like I think that's relatable. Again, that's
Sure.
this is clinical. I'm saying this like as a professional producer type, but I mean that's kind of what when you're looking for. Like I feel like you sort of speak to that very well, which is why I think having you on twice a week, giving your viewpoints, trying to make you blush, right? Talking shit. Speaking of trying to make you blush, Caroline Ellison, that chick who's like the weird nerd Harry Potter looking girl.
Gosh, yes.
From this FTX scandal. So yeah, we could talk about the whole cryptocurrency. We could talk about the Democrat ties, but I prefer to talk about this. Sam Bankman-Fried's ex, Caroline Ellison, apparently made a foray into what's called Chinese harem polyamory. Have you ever heard of this? Do you know how a Chinese harem works? No, you don't.
Maybe not
Never been in one?
No.
Never been in a Chinese harem situation? Okay, well, I've been there many times. All right, Ellison, she's the one who dated Sam Bankman-Fried, wrote candidly about her foray into poly on her now deleted Tumblr account back in 2020. The post, along with a bunch of other sexualized entries, was unearthed by a tabloid after CoinDesk claimed that she and Fried were part of a 10-person, quote, cabal of roommates that managed FTX and Alameda. So it was kind of like this weird democratic polyamorous Chinese harem sex cult, crypto sex cult. And here's what she writes. She says, when I first started my foray into poly, I thought of it as a radical break from my trad past. She wrote in a Tumblr entry, but to be honest, I've come to decide the only acceptable style of poly is best characterized as something like imperial Chinese harem. Her face, make sure you make those faces in the camera, okay? She says, none of this non-hierarchical bull stuff. Everyone should have a ranking of their partners, and people should know where they fall on that ranking, and there should be vicious power struggles for the higher ranks. CJ, your thoughts?
Okay. Well, I wondered why somebody was tweeting about polyamory yesterday. I'm like, why are we all of a sudden talking about this? Now I understand. And she likes her some authoritarianism.
She does. Isn't that like a good Democrat, right? She says, she wrote, I'm less hedonistic and more masochistic. I get a lot of pleasure from doing things that are hard, unpleasant, physically taxing, or emotionally painful, the kinky CEO wrote.
Okay.
born too late to have kids, born too soon to have 4-dimensional upload orgies.
She said that?
Yes. In another post, she says she thinks it is cute for men to do things that like having sufficient strength to overpower you and, quote, controlling most major world governments.
Freaks!
Freaks! All right.
No.
All right, we're going to go to break. My buddy Ashley's texting me. Maybe we'll be able to get him on the show when we get back.
Awesome.
On the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Hello, my name is Kelvin. Welcome to Frenchy Bush. This is my Dee-Dee's website, and I've decided to speak to you with my real voice for the first time ever to tell you about how cool Frenchy Bush is. But I've decided that this is the perfect opportunity to share with you. Frenchy Bush is a good website. You should follow us on socials. If you like Frenchies or any kind of bulldogs, me and my new brother George are going to try to make your life more fun.
Hello, I'm George. My neck isn't really thick yet, but it will be. We are so glad you're here. Please ignore my floating eyeball. It helps me spot predators who might be approaching from the sides.
Dee-Dee made Frenchy bullshit to review things that he uses on me and my brother to tell you if it's good or bullshit. Take this collar, for example. Dee-Dee really likes it. Dee-Dee said it's really handy because us Frenchies got thick necks. Need something really tough. People think Frenchies are little, but if you look at us from below, you can see we are really pretty buff. Beefcake, yes. Look at my creamy thighs and chest. Yes, you like that?
Big brother, please focus.
Frenchy Bush. Please follow us for more great content and read the Frenchy Bush blog for more fun and cool stuff.
I'm a public defender.
I am a public defender.
I'm proud to be a public defender.
80% of Americans accused of a crime will get appointed a public defender.
Everybody from a speeding ticket to capital murder.
For every $1 we spend on public defenders, we spend $3 on prosecutors.
Public defenders have to do pretty much everything on their own.
Social workers, counselors.
Investigating is another piece of it.
The average public defender holds 300 cases annually.
You never feel like there's enough time.
Public defenders have health issues all the time.
A lot of people give up and say, I can't do this work anymore.
Gideon's Promise trains, mentors, and supports public defenders.
There are a lot of people who say that they would not still be public defenders, but for Gideon's Promise.
It's fueled me to continue on in this fight.
Gideon's Promise has changed the face of public defense.
People see us as troublemakers.
Good trouble only.
We don't make it easy. It should not be easy to take away someone's liberty.
Ever hear the one about the frog? Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out.
Here's my resume again.
But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. It's a lie. But as a metaphor for us and all that we go through as veterans,
Do you have any real-world experience?
it's a story that rings true. We make excuses for how we feel. We push everything down. We tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect. And some days, maybe it is. But you've never been interested in easy. Make no mistake, reaching out is hard. Do it anyway. You're not alone. You've got this. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. It's 8:23. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America Show with Austin Peterson at wakeupAmericaShow.com. We're still joined in studio by the lovely Camellia Peterson, who is not a member of a Chinese harem.
Nope.
Thank you so much for joining us. Glad to have you here. Let's give Camellia a round of applause. Certainly appreciate that one. Glad to have you here. Camellia, do you know, are you a good dancer?
I don't know. I never really thought about taking a few. Oh, I do love me some disco.
Let's see. This isn't disco.
What?
This is not disco.
Oh, no, you're right. It's not disco.
Good God.
You know, it's closed.
Oh,
on. No.
We are led by very stupid people. Very stupid people.
Not my words. I didn't say it.
Let it continue.
We can't let it continue. Camellia, we sold a.
I'm gonna let you down.
We sold a taxation smells like theft candle. Let's give a big round of applause to our buddy Andy. Thank you so much, Andy. He also used the 10% off code for the Cantina crew that you can use. Make sure you get that in. Taxation smells like that. Just imagine like you've got a candle that sits on your desk and somebody walks by and it's like, that's so nice. What is that? What does that smell like? And you can just say, theft. Like, what are you talking about? Well, just show them, then turn around the candle. It says taxation smells like theft. So, so thanks, Andy, for buying a candle. Somebody else bought 2 candles. So make sure you use your code so that you can save some bucks.
It's a good time for it, too, because we're all getting our property tax statements and, and feeling very stolen from.
Yes.
I looked at mine and I was like, because I know they support the schools and I was looking at the portion that goes to my local school district. And I'm like, it would have been great to have all that money back for however many years that I've never used that school. And like my parents too. I mean, man.
Chris Morrill over in the live stream was talking about that Harry Potter looking girl that was talking about the Chinese harems. And she says that gal is a little homely, but sometimes those are the biggest freaks between the sheets. It's true. It's
TMI.
True. It's true.
TMI.
I'm a happily married man, but I can say that, I was not virginal when I went into my wedded bliss. And I can say that Chris is actually onto something here. I keep screwing up here with Ash. There's something about the nerds, like those little weird lookers. You know what it is? I think it's because they spent like their early part of their life in sexual frustration. But then, like, it's different if you're a girl versus a guy, because girls can get it anytime that they want, right? Anytime that they want.
Well,
you can
I don't
walk
know.
into a bar. What do you mean you don't know? I mean, it's not like you ever walked into a bar. Have you ever like walked into a bar and sat down and gotten hit on?
No, but that's because I probably rarely ever walk into a bar.
Exactly.
Occasionally,
if you
but
wanted
no.
to. If you wanted to.
No, I have that vibe, and that doesn't happen.
What kind of vibe that is. But I could say that, having spent the first part of their life in sexual frustration, that like the little ugly nerdy girls do give something of a whirlwind. I could understand her like imperialist views, like her sexual imperialism.
Okay.
Did we think that sexual imperialism was going to be on our bingo card today?
Nope.
Are you ready for the spelling test that I'm about to give you? Spell sexual imperialism. You can text the show this morning at 573-319-1586. No woman is ever turned down, says Elizabeth Fanning Press. Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. We know that this is true. You can text us again, 573-319-1586. And we were right, by the way. Can you make a candle that smells like Auntie Maxine's wig? He was talking about Maxine Waters there. But I think Chris Morrill said that it would smell like kitty litter and something else, powder and kitty litter. I'm not sure. Again, you can text us 573-319-1586. What did I have here on the thing? Oh, Ben Shapiro's anti-homophobic rant that Brad Palumbo has. You want to listen to this?
Yeah, I haven't heard it.
Yeah. Okay. So this is Brad Palumbo playing Ben Shapiro's. Look at that. I've got my shop up there on accident. Did you guys want to see how many people are on the AP for Liberty shop right now? Oh, sad. One person. Here we go. Brad Palumbo. Take a listen to this.
Is that you're going to get all the Republicans on record as to whether they support or do not support same-sex marriage. Now, let me just put this out there for the Republican senators. If you vote in favor of the idea that society has an obligation to recognize male-male or female-female dyads in the same way that society has an obligation to recognize male-female, you should not be in the Republican Party. You shouldn't. Okay, the reason I say this is not because I wish to shrink the size of the Republican Party. Because if the fundamental basis of human society is male-female child, and you think that by passing a law you can change that reality, you do not belong in government.
First, Ben is framing this bill as something that forces society to accept gay marriage. That's not the case at all. What the bill does is force the government, state and federal, to treat marriages equally and to respect marriages performed by the states. It doesn't force any private people to believe in gay marriage. It doesn't support any religious organization to perform or enhance or serve in a gay marriage. In fact, it specifically says they don't have to. The other part of this take that truly makes it, we can have good faith disagreements and debates about gay marriage. Actually, I would love to have a conversation with Ben about that. But the part where he says that Republicans who vote for this should be kicked out of the Republican Party is truly nuts. Because I don't know if anyone's broken it to Ben, but he's surely seen the polling that a majority of Republicans now support gay marriage. When you look at young Republicans, it's even higher. So Ben realizes that he's saying more than 50% of the GOP shouldn't be allowed in the Republican Party.
What do you think about that? Because this is the bill that Roy Blunt voted for, that he's getting a lot of trouble with conservatives on. The gay marriage bill that's trying to codify it federally, right?
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing online is, of course, everybody says that it says this, and then somebody else says it doesn't say that. Whether or not churches would lose their tax exempt status if they don't perform gay marriages and things like that. And Brad is saying that it doesn't. I haven't read the bill. God, have you read the bill?
I haven't read it. He told me that it is pretty brief. I just haven't had a chance to look at it, but apparently it's not very long. The only point that I've seen raised, and by a couple of people that I really respect, is that it didn't. I don't think it included specific. It didn't specifically address private businesses like the baker. So maybe there is an aspect where it's weak with regard to that, but it varies. I did read some of the portions that were posted from it, and it does very specifically, protect, churches and nonprofits and all those.
Oh, well, see, then why the lie, right? Why do they feel the need to lie?
Well, because there is a segment on the right that says they must demand moral order for society.
God, fuck off. Moral order just reminds me of Robespierre, right? We must purge the world of vice and sin. The conservative movement is rapidly deteriorating into something like the French Revolution. They remind me of like conservative Jacobins to a large extent. These national conservatives. Fucked up. Tired of it. Ash Bennington's coming back. We're going to talk about Chinese sex harems.
Oh, boy.
Talk about your moral order. I got your moral order right here. We'll be back with Ash Bennington talking about FTX scandal on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
I enlisted as a medic to be there to help my patients, and after an injury, I found myself as a patient. I experienced post-traumatic seizures. Depression is a big one that comes along with it, PTSD. So I pursued my PhD in neuroscience and regenerative medicine. The coalition has helped fund my academic pursuits. They genuinely care about helping the vet in whatever way that they can. Through supporting the coalition, you're supporting some of the veterans that have the biggest needs.
Visit saluteheroes.org to learn more.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
enough yet? Do facts no longer matter? Are lies to be encouraged instead of punished? This is not our inheritance. If truth no longer matters, we will not remain free for long. This is our generation's challenge, to defend our founders' hope that we the people could self-govern if we defend our right to get the facts. And right now, we're building the only defense of free people have, the facts, on every politician, every position they held, every statement they've made, every vote they've made, and any cash they've taken. It's the real history on those now pandering for your vote. There are hundreds of young people building our defense right now, and they need your help. We all have our passions, but as our ancestors knew, when events become so foul they threaten us all, we must stand and defend each other. Please, have our backs. Join us at votesmart.org.
What would happen if I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors? What would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? So you can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
Is me, you, anyone that wants to be. There is no typical firefighter.
We wish you a freedom Christmas. We wish you a freedom Christmas. We wish you a freedom Christmas and a liberty New Year. Socialists and commies may try to convince you that the holiday's all about free stuff. But let's be honest, we all know whose wallet Santa's gifts are coming out of. There ain't no such thing as a free stocking. Santa is the only guy with a big white beard promising free stuff that we want anything to do with this holiday. And if you don't believe, you don't receive. It's a capitalist, consumerist holiday, and it's time for a Santa-sized stimulus. Get your free market merch at the AP for Liberty shop today and stuff your socialist sisters' stockings full of capitalist cheer. Ho, 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 ho! Good morning. Thank you for being patient. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. We're still joined in studio by the lovely Camellia Peterson, even though we are not related. CJ, thanks.
Good morning.
Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us here. All right. So all that weird Chinese harem sex stuff got you hooked, didn't it? Got you to stick around and listen and talk to the show. But maybe we should talk a little bit about the actual financial fallout of this Sam Bankman-Fried character and FTX and the collapse of crypto. It's hurting the marketplace. Let's talk to a man who knows it better than most. His name is Ash Bennington, and he is, well, shit, I forgot his title already. Senior host.
And crypto editor.
Crypto editor. Thank you,
Something
CJ.
like that.
Hey, Ash, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. So it's amazing that there hasn't been any calls for any kind of investigation into what's going on here in Congress. I'm hearing that the FTC might investigate Elon Musk for buying Twitter, but there's not a lot of talks about investigating this guy for, allegedly stealing maybe billions of dollars in client funds. What is this, Ash?
Allegedly is the key word right now. The truth is we really don't know a whole heck of a lot. Some of the reporting that I'm seeing coming out of Washington, D.C., some of the statements, it seems as though Sam Bankman-Fried has managed to do the impossible in 2022, Austin, which is to unify Republicans and Democrats, liberals, conservatives, across the board, across the political spectrum. People want answers. They want to investigate him. I suspect we're going to be finding out a lot more about what happened. I suspect Mr. Fried is going to be called up on the Hill to testify. I think he's going to face some very stiff criticism from both sides of the aisle. This is an interesting moment, Austin.
So this guy, he runs what's called an exchange, right? So it's kind of like a bank for cryptocurrency for those who are tuning in who might not be savvy. So FTX is sort of like a bank. It's a place where you can buy and sell currency, right? They call it an exchange. And, this guy managed billions of dollars, but he had all of these other companies where customers' funds were allegedly being siphoned off and then potentially being used to buy all these luxury properties in the Bahamas, and then also potentially customer dollars being used to fund Democrats who were running for high office, including Joe Biden, President of the United States. I mean, how far down the rabbit hole could we go here, Ash?
We can go pretty deep. The allegedly and potentially are obviously keywords here because we don't know, all the facts haven't come out yet. But look, here's the deal. The first thing to know about crypto is that the words used in crypto are not the same as the words used in traditional finance. So when we hear the word exchange, that's meant kind of very loosely here in this space. I would say that an exchange, a so-called exchange in the crypto space, in this case, looks kind of like a combination of an exchange, a hedge fund, which we found out a little bit too late here in this case, and also a brokerage house or broker dealer. So traditionally, for example, the New York Stock Exchange, which is most people's idea of an exchange, or NASDAQ here in the United States, is a place where buyers and sellers meet. They match orders. You got a buyer, you got a seller, you match them up, and you do sales. In this case, this functioned like an exchange, like NASDAQ, for example. In addition, it also had elements that were like your brokerage account, your Charles Schwab, your E-Trade, your Ameritrades of the world. And simultaneously, they also had a hedge fund, essentially, associated with a hedge fund or a quant shop, whatever you might want to call it, called Alameda Research. And what happened in this particular case, Austin, is that the exchange, FTX, lent billions and billions of dollars of customer funds to Alameda Research, this hedge fund, which was making speculative bets in the market. That's the best information we have at this time. I'll give you an idea of just how big this is. So there were $16 billion in customer assets on FTX based on the reporting that we have so far. And then the reports came out that $8 billion, 50% of that money was lent to Alameda Research. Later reports said it was as much as $10 billion. So more than half of customer funds were lent over to this Alameda Research hedge fund quant shop. Here's the bottom line, Austin. The amount of customer funds that should be lent from an exchange to a hedge fund is a very easy number to calculate. You can do it on the back of an envelope because it's zero. You should not be lending money in an ideal world between an exchange and a hedge fund. And what we saw here, in fact, based on the reporting we got so far, is exactly the opposite.
If you're just tuning in, we're speaking to Ash Bennington about the FTX scandal that's rapidly unfolding, all kinds of interesting things. We've already talked this morning about the whole weird sex stuff allegations between the relationships between the manager of Alameda and FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, and his girlfriend at the time, and the people who were all living together. Now we're getting deeper into the nitty-gritty of the allegations about the corruption and the alleged theft of client funds being siphoned off to another company run by the same people people. Ash, when it comes to like the political angle on this one, this Sam Bankman-Fried character, I mean, he was like what he's 29 years old, but he's extremely politically connected. How did this guy get so powerful in political circles?
You know, this is really a key question. I mean, the short answer is money. He gave a lot of money away, and he gave money away to the Democratic Party. Based on the data that I've seen, based on the reporting that's been done, he appears to be the second largest donor, I believe, in 2021 to the Democratic Party. He was giving away a lot of money. There are interviews of him saying precisely this, that he got lots of calls for money, and that he gave lots of money away. The nature of those funds, where they came from, how he built up his fortune, how he built this company so quickly, is something that has been, well, at this point, I guess the fairest way to say it is we just don't know. There's a lot of speculation out there, but we just don't know exactly where all this money came from.
What's the Ukraine angle on this one, Ash? Because there's been a lot of accusations about like money laundering, that humanitarian aid from the United States going to Ukraine is getting funneled into FTX and then coming back into the coffers of politicians here in the United States. Is there any truth to that rumor, or what are you hearing about that?
Well, I think rumor is the right word. It's extremely murky, and that's something that I prefer not to speculate on, because we just don't have facts yet. We like to deal in facts at Real Vision, and we just don't have the facts. The facts have not come out.
And you've been following crypto for quite some time. I know you've been a reporter on this beat. When you and I met, you were working at CNBC in New York City, and you've certainly got a great financial background to be able to comment on these matters. So as you say, it is a rumor that money going through Ukraine is coming back through FTX and back into the pockets of politicians here in the United States. We don't know if there's any truth to that right now. At the moment, most of this stuff are allegations. But I mean, is there any chance that he might actually stand, and face trial? Because what we're hearing, or have to give testimony? Because if he lives in the Bahamas, I mean, in essence, he doesn't have to come back to the United States. But I'm hearing some reports this morning that he's actually supposed to give a speech at some crypto conference in New York City. I mean, you'd think that if he came back to the United States, that they'd lay hands on this guy, especially with billions of dollars stolen from. I mean, this guy was doing celebrity commercials with Larry David, and what's the football guy that everybody cares about that I don't give a shit about?
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. So, I mean, there's a lot of big names that are involved with this guy. I mean, you think that if he came to the United States, he'd be going to jail. I mean, would he be under arrest if he comes home?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think the most honest thing that we can say at this point is the reporting out of the Wall Street Journal, who do a lot of research when they report facts, is that he is under investigation by the Department of Justice. Obviously, there are a lot of regulators here in the United States, but the Department of Justice does criminal investigations. SEC, for example, looks into civil violations. They can refer to the Department of Justice, but in this case, the reporting is quite clear that he is being investigated by the Department of Justice. Now, we should say, as many of our lawyers out there listening know, innocent until proven guilty. He has not been charged with a crime at this point, but he appears, based on the reporting coming out of the Journal and other sources, that he's being investigated criminally for these matters. Obviously, there's a process here, Austin. You're innocent until you're proven guilty. You've got to be accused of a crime. You've got to be charged with a crime. That has not happened yet. In terms of him having to answer questions, my suspicion is going to have to go up on the Hill before perhaps both houses of Congress to answer some very difficult questions. As I said at the beginning of the show, Austin, he's managed to do the impossible here in 2022, which is to unify Democrats and Republicans, because they seem right now to both be very concerned about this behavior. Look, here's the deal. You know better than anyone, Austin, that we live in an inherently political time. We at Real Vision try to report things straight down the middle. Unlike most news sources out there, we just don't do politics. But let me just say this. A good libertarian, for example, would look at our banking system and they might say, well, the problem here is we don't have a gold standard. We need a gold standard. Banks should be smaller. When banks screw up, they should be allowed to fail. A liberal might look at the system and say, well, the problem here is we don't have enough regulation. We don't have enough government intervention. Governments really should have more oversight. Now, these are things that people can agree or disagree about. But to me, what it seems like we've got here with FTX, it's the worst of all possible worlds. They didn't hold hard assets, and they weren't really regulated because they were operating in this kind of offshore sort of intermediary zone where no one was actually examining the books. And when these numbers come out, as you said at the top of the show, they're huge and they're shocking.
Ashley, talk to us a little bit about the sideways impact this has had on the crypto markets because, our audience being more libertarian friendly, there's probably a lot of people who are listening right now
Yeah.
that are invested in the crypto markets. And boy, when this scandal dropped, so did a lot of our crypto accounts.
Sure did. Here's the biggest and most important thing I think to understand about this. Libertarians and many people who are not libertarians necessarily love cryptocurrency because it is trustless. The whole idea of Bitcoin is you don't have to rely on any third party making claims. It's right there. It's on the blockchain. You can see what happened. You can see who owns it. You can see when it moved. You can see how it moved. You can see all of these essential parameters. It's a totally new system. What's fascinating here about this space is that these failures did not result inherently from the nature of cryptocurrency. They were a classic kind of financial panic, a financial crisis caused by very old-fashioned things that you could have seen. For example, in the 1907 bankers' panic, an economist named Frances Coppola was prescient in this, and she wrote this piece on November 1st talking about how this system looked a lot like the system before we had regulation here in the United States. So you have this weird world where we create the worst of all possible worlds here. There was no sort of cryptographic accountability. One of the terms out there that folks may have heard, and it's something that libertarians are really passionate about, is this idea of cryptographically proven proof of reserves, proof of liability, where anyone can go onto a website and they can look at a wallet, they can look at a block explorer, and they can see just how many assets a particular company has. They can see how many liabilities a particular company has. And this is a world that we were promised. We're not there yet. These are very human failings. These are stories about leverage. These are stories about a lack of corporate accountability. These are things that a system that cryptocurrency was not supposed to be reliant on. And here we are, Austin, here in November of 2022, looking at these stories. And guess what? We've built a system in the crypto space that looks remarkably like the flawed system that we have in traditional finance. And when we look at this system, it's really easy to feel like cryptocurrency, many people in the space may have fallen short of their ideals. By the way, Bitcoiners are looking at this, passionate Bitcoiners, many of them libertarian, are looking at this system going, of course that's what happens when you allow rampant speculation, rampant leverage, and no accountability through these cryptographically verified means.
One last question before I let you go, Ash. There was a philosophical underpinning for what Sam Bankman-Fried was engaging in terms of his views of capitalism. Like, he had a philosophical view. They saw capitalism as inherently evil, which I found ironic that he would turn around and actually become what he claimed that he was against. But in terms of if we're going to get big-brained here, Ashley, he was a proponent of what's called EA, effective altruism. Have you looked into this? Do you know what it is? And if so, would you mind sharing that with our listeners?
Yeah, I sure do. So effective altruism is the idea that altruism, philanthropy should be done as a kind of a rational science. That's almost the view. And Mr. Bankman-Fried had said essentially, well, I want to go out there and make all this money so that I can give it away. And there are lots of folks out there calling him out for hypocrisy. Listen, Austin, I'm going to give you my opinion on this. My opinion, based on what I've seen of Sam Bankman-Fried's statements, was that he didn't really believe in this too deeply. There are these quotes floating around out there. I don't happen to have it in front of me right now, but he gave an interview. Sam Bankman-Fried gave an interview to a reporter coming out of Vox News, I believe, where he basically said, hey, listen, this is just the kind of stuff you have to say. You've got to pretend to be woke. And so I got to be honest with you. I don't know how much the philosophy really influenced his decision making. To me, this looks like good old fashioned greed and a total lack of accountability. So we can speculate about whether his politics were the driver of this or whether the politics were just kind of the external dressing that he wrapped this up in to attain the wealth that he had. That much we don't know yet.
Ash, is there anything else about this that you think people should know before we let you go?
Yeah, the one thing people should know is a lot of this stuff is really, really speculative. The story is breaking very fast. We just don't have all the facts now, but we will. We're going to get them out because I suspect, as I said earlier, that Mr. Bankman-Fried is going to wind up on Capitol Hill. He's going to be grilled by lawmakers. More of this to come. And I would say finally, if you're passionate about Bitcoin, if you're passionate about this space for that reason, I would say the really tragic irony here, Austin, is that the technology that so many people love and care about, that I care about so much, actually has the potential to be the cure to this problem, which is cryptographically verified reserves, cryptographically verified liabilities. I think in the long run, that's where this is going. I really do believe in, and maybe I'm just an idealist, but I really do believe we're going to build this new financial system using this technology. So we're not going to have to rely on people to say, or corporations to say, hey, we've got these assets, we've got these liabilities. You're going to be able to see it in the blockchain. When I come back on your show, Austin, in 2032, I think that's going to be the world that we're living in. It's going to be begun by that point, at least. It's still an exciting time. I suspect we've seen crypto winters before. I suspect we're going to see these challenges shake out. And ultimately, lots of folks in the space, myself included, still believe in the promise of these technologies, Austin.
That's right. It's a bit of a crypto winter. A little baby, it's cold outside. Hopefully it'll warm up soon. That's Ash Bennington, the senior host and crypto editor at Real Vision. You can follow him on Twitter at Ash Bennington. Ashley, thank you very much for your time and great report. We appreciate you very much.
Thanks, Austin.
Thank you very much. What did you think of Ash Bennington? Send us a text, 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. Great report. If you have any questions for us, feel free to send them in at 573-319-1586. I think I'm just going to, we'll just finish out the segment here like this. Camelia, just you and I hanging out here. Take a couple minutes to chat. Ash is kind of like mega big brain.
That was really interesting. I will say that, so Jeremy Cady is big into Bitcoin, and he has, and this is something that I have some Bitcoin, I have some Ethereum, and I know very little about any of it. But Jeremy is always telling me that only Bitcoin. That's always good. Bitcoin.
Just Bitcoin. I do buy a couple of other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum and others, not much, but yes, the majority of my crypto holdings are in Bitcoin because of the blockchain and the way that it operates. Bitcoin, you can verify a transaction. So the blockchain works in such a way so that if you make a transaction in Bitcoin, it's all public. But the FTX exchange and the crypto that they were creating didn't have that same kind of a verification process as Bitcoin does. So, Bitcoin enthusiasts, the problem is, of course, now that the way the crypto market is working is that it's kind of like a traditional stock market where when something bad happens to one, everybody kind of panic sells in lots of crypto. So Bitcoin has been down for quite some time. I just feel like, and maybe this is me being a pessimist, I just feel like nothing's going to happen to this guy, and that he's actually that once you get big enough, you fail up.
Right. Sure.
And that's just how it is.
Like banks, too big to fail.
Yeah, too big to fail. Yeah. Did you like that meme that I posted the other day? Maybe you didn't see it, where it was a bunch of reptile lizard people, and they were all saying, and we named him Bankman. As a joke, right? They're playing on all of us, the lizard people. 573-319-1586 is the text line. Matt Unruly says, I feel like I know AP way more because of today's episode. I've never heard him talk more freely. He just likes that I've been cursing.
You're kind of cutting loose today.
Well, but it's Friday. It's Friday, baby. We're trying to rock and roll a little bit here. We've still got the Austin Peterson show to go this afternoon, 2 p.m. So make sure that you tune into that on the Real Talk Radio Network.
They finally got their first taste of AP singing Broadway the other day. I was like, now you've seen the real AP.
That's true. Do you hear the people sing? Yeah, I think that they don't know quite what to do with me out there. Because it's a very, Trumpy network.
Sure.
And so,
it reminds me so much, though, of even when you started with the last radio station, because initially, in fact, I told somebody, it was I kind of wonder what's going to, how to go, because initially there was a lot of backlash and people were like, I don't like this.
Yes.
But you know what? 6 months down the road, they were like, you know what? It's not so bad.
Yeah.
Like him.
Yeah. I'm an acquired taste. Yes. I'm an acquired taste for sure. Right. So it's not like when you don't tell people exactly what they want to hear, right? When you just, it would be so easy to just be a conservative talk show host and just repeat what Hannity says or what Dan Bongino says or, what Tucker Carlson is saying on his show. It would be just so easy. But what fun would that be?
Well, a lot of the other shows don't have fun, and I think that's the difference.
Yeah, that's true. We have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's Friday. So F-bomb Fridays. Listen, I took a big risk by saying a lot of bad words today to get, because here's the thing. I got to apply for monetization on YouTube. They're probably going to watch this content. All right. So here's what I need from you. I need you to like, subscribe, and click the bell notification on YouTube. That's free. And in case YouTube says, screw you, we're not monetizing you, Austin, do me a favor, head over to the AP for Liberty shop and get yourself some merch today. 10% off with your code Cantina. It's only good until Saturday night at midnight, so make sure you take advantage of that code. You can get an awesome new candle, a Buddha, AR-15 for your keychain and all kinds of cool stuff. Or like Camellia got an HL Mencken tote bag. Yes, all kinds of cool stuff over there. All right. Don't forget, 2 p.m. today, the Austin Peterson Show. We'll see you on Monday, though, on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Whenever I can't shoot something, I like to cut things. My life isn't all about shooting and stabbing and cutting, though. Sometimes I have to do actual work, but when I work, I still like to have fun. And there's nothing less fun than trying to cut with a crappy knife. Thankfully, from the ancient sect of Christian knights, who also loved cutting and stabbing, comes a new implement that has received my personal blessing, the Templar knife. Like the ancient sword of Excalibur, you don't choose a Templar knife, it chooses you. You just decide what kind you want on the website first, however, and then order it online, and then it chooses you. The Templar knife comes in a variety of shapes. As a man of culture and taste, I have decided I will never use a terrible knife again. And thanks to the inspiration provided by this excellent product, I have decided to launch a new crusade against anyone using less than superior knives. Join me, brothers and sisters, by visiting uppercuttactical.com/pages/Templar-knives. That's a lot of slashes. For that, you'll need a Templar knife. For 10% off, use code AP for Liberty and join me in a quest for glory, for liberty, for Christendom, for the Templar knife. Get yours today. Fire.
Your printing company stinks. They charge you too much money and they don't love America enough. We've got the solution. Patriot Printing USA. Whether you're running for office, saving souls, or just need business cards that will get you the new job you've been looking for, Patriot Printing USA has got you covered with the best prices around. Palm cards, brochures, bumper stickers, door hangers, you name it, we've got it. PatriotPrintingUSA.com. That's PatriotPrintingUSA.com.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
Average Americans are turning into conspiracy theorists at an unprecedented rate. Flip City Magazine was created for new converts to aid in their in-depth research along the path of absolute truth. We offer the hardest-hitting news and opinion delivered uncensored in print directly to your door. Display proudly on your coffee table or hide discreetly under your mattress. Flip City is the magazine they don't want you to see, much less read. Subscribe to Flip City Magazine today at flipcitymag.com.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.